As a kid, I loathed having to work in the family garden. To be fair, my parents didn't ask much of me, but the little I did have to do felt like agony. When I was a teen, I attempted to grow flowers on my windowsill, but after they grew spindly stems that couldn't hold the weight of a single leaf, I wrote myself off as an official plant killer. Suffice it to say, no one, me included, ever expected me to become the avid gardener I am today. What changed me from plant killer to master gardener? In my first year of marriage, I worked in a friend's greenhouse for a season. She loved everything green, taught me how to repot seedlings and adequately water them, and eventually inspired me to bring a few tomato plants home. When I plopped the plants into pots and stuck them on the steps leading to our basement suite, I didn't expect much. But to my shock, they grew big and strong and gave us many delicious tomatoes. From then on, I was hooked. In each consecutive rental home, my garden became a little bit bigger, until at one point, I dug up our entire front yard and turned it into a food forest. Not only had I caught the vision for gardening, but my identity had changed. I began to believe that I was capable of being a gardener. We're going to embark on a similar journey in this book. I love everything about family discipleship, and I want you to catch the vision for tending the hearts of the kids in your care, why it matters, and why you are the best person for the job. Even if you currently feel like the spiritual equivalent of a plant killer, you, as a parent, grandparent, or other ordinary human being, are the right person to disciple the children God has given you. You are perfectly positioned to be a master gardener in the hearts of children. It's time for your identity to change. Chapter 1. The Power of a Parent. Understanding the biggest influence on a child's faith. As I chatted with other volunteers at the orchestra fundraiser, the conversation took a surprising turn. A retired school teacher from a local Catholic school began talking about her experiences teaching junior high religion class. Almost out of the blue, she shared the very thing I'd been discovering myself. Kids get their faith from their parents. Parents have the biggest influence on their kids' faith. Of course, my ears perked up. This woman didn't have any kids of her own, but she had noticed what was happening in other families. One of the other women in the room asked a natural follow-up question. Not their peers. It sure seems like they have a lot more influence. No, the retired teacher said emphatically. It's definitely their parents. How does faith in Jesus get passed on? From person and life to life through word of mouth? That's how Christianity grew from a small group of persecuted people who followed a Jewish man named Yeshua, and how even today, in parts of the world where Christians are kidnapped and murdered or chased out of the country, people still choose to follow Jesus. They see the work of Christ in the lives of their family members and neighbors, and faith gets passed on like one candle lighting another until the light brightens the whole room. Psalm 145 verse 4 tells us, "Let each generation tell its children of your mighty acts. Let them proclaim your power." When each generation tells its children about our incredible God, about his power and love and the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, the new generation is equipped to choose to follow Jesus. If you grew up in church, you might think I'm talking about Sunday school or other children's programming, but I'm not. In fact, Sunday school wasn't invented until the 1780s, and it was originally created to teach illiterate, working children how to read. It wasn't until the 1870s that Sunday school became a strictly religious program. Somehow, Christianity managed to thrive for nearly 2,000 years without dedicated church teaching for children. How? Families. Grandmas and grandpas, moms and dads, aunts and uncles share their faith with kids in everyday moments. Parent power. I worked on staff in children's ministries for about 16 years, spending about 10 of those as the director. That's when I first discovered the enormous power we parents have when investing into our kids' lifelong faith. In children's ministry, I was spending 20 hours or more per week on a 1-hour program, and parents were with their kids for hours every single day. A research project from the UK found that a child attending a church group 1 hour a week would need to attend for 421 years to equal the same amount of time they would spend with a parent before the age of 10. Isn't that mind-boggling? Children's ministry has value in teaching kids the Bible, but as parents, we have a much deeper ability to disciple our own kids simply because of the relationships we have with our children. You're likely familiar with the term disciple as a noun. The disciples were Jesus' first followers, those men and women who lived with him, ate with him, and participated in his ministry. The verb disciple means to help someone follow in Jesus' footsteps. And discipleship is most effective when we do life with those that we're discipling. And who does life with our children more than us?